characters, incidents, names, and situations used in this story are fictitious. The resemblance to any person living or dead is purely coincidental. The following video contains some horror elements and suitable for a mature audience, 16 plus. This channel and video is not for kids.
Hello friends, I'm Aryan and welcome to our channel Midnight Horror Stories, where you get to hear true and scary ghost stories. But before starting this story, all the friends who have come to this channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, and if you like this story, then definitely introduce yourself in the comment section. Then let's do not take much time and start our story quickly. Delhi, city of dreams. But not every dream comes true. And in some dreams, there are shadows that do not make eye contact. Arav and Neha, a newly married couple, had come to start a new life. They got a cheap but beautiful flat, where a new story of their happiness was to be written. But as soon as he stepped in there, strange sounds, the sound of someone walking in empty rooms, and muffled sobs of crying in the middle of the night followed them. They didn't know. Someone had lived in this house before, and he never left. This is the story of that couple. The house of their dreams became their scariest dream. Arav Mehra met Neha in college, while friendship led to love and then marriage. He got a job in a multinational company in Noida, so he shifted to Delhi. Arav calm and rational. Scary things are first thought of as a joke or hoax. Practical mindset but very protective of wife's safety. Initially he denies the events, but as the fear grows, he takes the lead in finding the truth and liberating the soul. Neha Mehra is a new housewife in Delhi after love marriage to start a new life with husband and do freelance fashion designing work. Delhi aa gayi. Her nature emotional and sensitive, gets a sense of the atmosphere quickly, especially the negative vibes. Fear is quick, but there is courage inside. First of all, she feels paranormal activity. Later, she also becomes the first target of the ghost. Nature of Ramesh Verma. Cheerful, spinning in conversation, but blinded by greed. Expert in hiding the truth. Owner of an old property in Delhi. He earns from rent. He knows that there was a death in flat number 306, but never tells this for money. Many tenants have fled in fear. But soon his greed and lies come to the fore. Neighborhood auntie, Meera Sharma auntie, single but friendly, helping everyone. She too knows the story of the flat, from Aditya's death to his family's condition. But slowly at the right time, they tell the truth. Sharma auntie act as a guide for Arav Mehra. They help uncover the truth about ghosts. Aditya Singh, a student of Delhi University, good in studies, but passionate nature. Kais was deeply in love with a girl in his class. The girl made promises but suddenly married someone else. In the shock of deception, he committed suicide by hanging himself from the fan in flat number 306. At the time of his death, his heart was broken, tears in his eyes, and only one question in his mind. Why? Why did you do this? His soul was angry, restless, and suspicious of humans. Targets women more, because the cheating came from him. A cold breeze was blowing in the evening of Delhi. Arav and Neha, who was sitting inside the auto, were silent, just holding each other's hands. As soon as the auto stopped in front of the old building, Vermaji moved forward with a broad smile. Hey you guys, you will like the flat very much, guaranteed. Neha looked around. The narrow stairs leading up, the twinkling lights, and the smell of dampness coming from the walls. Sharma auntie was peeping through the nearby door. It's like carefully examining new tenants. They didn't know the lives of these four were going to be connected to each other forever. And in the middle of it was the shadow of flat number 306. A light shower of rain was falling. There was coolness and moisture in the air, adding to the smell of the old neighborhood. The building in front of it was a telling of its own age. Paint crumpled from the walls, moss all over the place, and cracks that stretched upstairs into which water was seeping. The main gate of the building was of iron, which screamed in a hoarse voice at the slightest push. As I entered, there was a long, narrow corridor with rusted iron railings on both sides and torn posters of old advertisements on the walls. The doors of the upstairs elevator were half open, and it was dark inside. It's like no one has used it for months. When the elevator moved, its motor would complain in the distance with a whirring sound. As soon as Arav pressed the button, a cold breeze blew out from inside, as if someone had just passed by and exhaled. The twinkling tube lights near the stairs extinguished and burnt again and again. Every time it was extinguished, long shadows were formed on the walls, which seemed human-shaped. Flat number 306 was at the end of the third floor. By the time he reached it, the corridor would become narrower, and the smell of dampness would become so strong that Neha felt as if the wooden planks immersed in water had been rotting for years. There was an old overhead fan in front of the door, which made a faint creaking sound in the air. The rain had now intensified, and the drops falling on the windows were creating a rhythm of tuck, 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 as if someone was knocking on the door, slowly, repeatedly. The first week of moving into the flat was all normal, but one night, Neha felt the bedroom door slowly creaking, opened with Karri's voice. He thought it would be windy, but the windows were closed. The next morning, the steel utensils in the kitchen suddenly fell off the shelf and rolled on the floor without any human touch. Arav laughed and said, "It's damp, maybe the wood must have fluffy." The third incident was the scariest. Around 2 a.m., Neha woke up. There was darkness and silence in the room. Then he felt someone crying softly in the corridor outside. The sound was so low that it was like someone was shedding tears. She went to the window, but there was nothing there. One evening, Neha was looking at the bathroom mirror with her face washed. Suddenly, he saw a faint man standing behind him in the mirror with his neck crooked on one side. He quickly looked back. There was no one. That night, there were blue finger-like marks on his arm as if someone had grabbed him tightly. Strange things happened on the phone. When Neha received a call, only a deep breath was heard, and then a heavy, broken voice. "Justice me." This voice echoed in her ear in such a way that Neha's whole body became cold. One stormy night, Arav came home late. The door opened and he saw Neha standing in the middle of the room, her eyes completely black, her lips blue, and a strange smile on her face. Neha's voice had changed, deep, masculine. "You can't save me. No one can save." Suddenly, everything in the room began to rise into the air. Chairs, books, and table lamps slammed against the wall. The doors began to slam and slam in a bang. Arav saw clearly that Aditya was standing in the corner of the bedroom, his eyes red as blood and his neck crooked. It was as if the noose was still wrapped tightly. At that moment, Arav understood. It's not just fear anymore. It's deadly. One rainy evening, Neha and Arav Sharma were having tea at Auntie's house. Neha dared to ask, "Auntie, is there a flat in this house? Has anyone been there before?" Sharma auntie looked out of the window silently. After a while, she said, "Yes, son, was. Aditya. He was a very nice boy. He was a student of Delhi University, a topper in science. But his heart broke very quickly." A sunny winter morning, Aditya and Riya sitting together drinking coffee in the campus. Both are laughing, looking at each other with dreams in their eyes. Riya said, "Aditya, I promise we'll always be together." Aditya held her hand and said, "You're everything to me." Few months later, Aditya is standing outside Riya's house, drenched in rain. He looks out the window and sees Riya sitting with someone else with a wedding card in her hand. Aditya's heart was ripped off. Riya simply says, "We were together only till college. My marriage is fixed." Tears in Aditya's eyes and lips tremble. He leaves without saying anything. Aditya was sitting in his flat number 306. The room was scattered, unfinished books on the table and empty wine bottles. The curtains were shaking in the breeze coming through the window. He kept writing the same line over and over again. Why did he do that? There was both pain and anger on his face. Night time. There was a storm outside. Aditya was standing in the middle of the room. The noose tied to the fan was dangling towards him. He was looking at a photograph of Ria with water stains on it. He said softly, "I can't bear the pain anymore." Bas, he puts the noose around his neck. The fan creaks slowly, and then all goes quiet. Sharma auntie's eyes were wet. Her soul has not rested, son. He hates no one, but anger and betrayal are holding him down. That's why he doesn't let anyone live in peace. Arav and Neha look at each other. Along with fear, they now had some sympathy for Aditya. One night, when the events were at their peak, Arav called Varmaji. "What is all this, Varmaji? Why did you let us stay here?" Varmaji first tried to evade, but when Arav angrily threatened that he would call the police, his face fell. "Look, I was helpless. Nobody used to buy this flat. Many people came here and fled in a week or two. But rent is my only source." Arav asked, "So you knew that here was there a death?" Varma rolled his eyes and said, "Yes, Aditya. And one more." Arav and Neha were shocked. "One more?" Varmaji said in a low voice. "After marriage, Ria wasn't happy either. Her husband used to beat her. A year later, he also committed suicide in his home. People say his soul is also restless." Neha's soul trembled. "So, are they both looking for each other?" Mr. Varma was silent. The next night, Aditya's capture on Neha deepened. Tears were flowing from his eyes, but Aditya's voice was still Aditya's. "I don't want revenge. I'm looking for him, but she doesn't come." At that moment, Arav realized Aditya's anger was not so much at Ria, but at the loneliness that had killed him. His soul only wanted to be liberated, and maybe even Ria's soul. Sharma auntie invited Arav and Neha to her house and gave them a small brass plate, camphor, red cloth, and some old mantras. "I have to do it at midnight tonight. If the soul is not liberated today, I may never get this chance again," warned my auntie. At 12 o'clock, dark clouds began to roar in the sky. Raindrops were falling on the window like someone standing outside constantly patting. The smell of dampness within the flat grew stronger. The air suddenly cooled down, and the fan turned off on its own. As the mantra began, a whisper echoed throughout the flat. "Stop." The light suddenly went off. In the dark, the sounds of pots falling, the knocking of doors, and the roar of broken glass began to hear. Neha's body was trembling. His eyes were completely black, and his voice had changed. "You can't get me out of here." Arav lit the camphor with trembling hands and started reciting the mantra aloud. Aditya's face bulged amid the smoke. The hanging mark was evident on his neck, and blood shot red anger in his eyes. But behind that anger, there was a deep sadness. Sharma auntie said loudly, "Ria is looking for you. He needs peace too." Suddenly, a faint light spread in the room. In that light, a faint shadow of a girl appeared, Ria. The two souls stared at each other for a few moments, and then, as soon as the mantra was completed, the faces of both of them calmed down and they merged in smoke. The rain stopped. The wind returned to normal. Neha fell to the ground, but her eyes were now normal. In the morning, they vacated the flat. When Arav closed the door of the flat for the last time, a very faint voice came from behind. "Thank you." Arav and Neha looked at each other. Maybe it was Aditya. But as he was walking down the stairs, someone was standing in the window of the flat above, absolutely still, watching them. Friends, scary shadows in life come not only in stories but also in reality. Sometimes they are in the form of difficulty, sometimes of deception, and sometimes of loneliness. But remember, no matter how deep the darkness is, a little light can dispel it. We just have to find that light and move forward with courage. If you like this story, do share it with your friends and family so that more people can join it. Don't forget to like the video. It encourages us to create even better stories. And of course, subscribe, because we will continue to bring you stories full of fear and adventure. Remember, feel the fear, but don't let it dominate your life.